Hello, and welcome to the Product Insiders LinkedIn Live series, where we interview product leaders and learn how they leverage customer insights to navigate tough product decisions. I'm your host, Zach Lyons, managing partner of Agile Innovation Advisors. Now, if you're joining us live today, please enter your location in the chat so we know who is with us. Today, our special guest is Michael Nevski, Global Insights Director at Visa. And we'll be asking Michael some questions, but if you have any specific questions for him, please enter them in the chat and we'll get to them in a bit. So with that, let's begin. Michael, thank you so much for joining us today. We really do appreciate it.
Zach, thank you so much for having me. I'm thrilled to be here today.
Awesome. So let's jump right in. My first question for you is, thinking about a tough product decision that you've had to navigate, can you please tell us about your role at the time and the situation?
That's a very good question. When I joined my current company, I joined the global economics team working with the global economists, and two brilliant guys, two economists, PhD guys, invented the methodology how to analyze the consumer spending data based on transactions, and we call it spending momentum index. And initially, it was created as an economic analysis and almost economic tool, I would say. But with the team, and I quickly realized as I was supporting that on the consumer insights side, because I did consumer insights function of the team, we kind of intertwine economic analysis with consumer insights. That actually, in order to really make it actionable, it needs to provide more information about the consumer's actual segmentation. Spending and categories is great, but who is spending? That's where it really becomes actionable for
Mhm.
many clients of ours. And the tough decision was how can you work and change this our way of thinking that company was much more conservative in terms of the overall approach to data analysis, data privacy, which is great, the absolutely right thing to do. But how can we have this fine balance of having a privacy and security in place and uh, data governance at the same time, adding the value of actionable insights about the consumer spending. And in my approach, I interviewed several department heads. I learned about the processes, and my toughest decision was build a use case and present it and argue on behalf of that use cases that we need to bring demographic data in order to be able to build an actionable spending momentum index in the United States. And what I was able to accomplish, not only get a data governance and privacy and legal approval by teaming up with third-party provider and do it in a very caution or privacy-oriented way where it's a depersonalized, aggregated, segmented analysis. But I was also able to provide the information on the credit side because you have transactions done by credit and transactions done by debit. So on the credit side, being able to create segments based on income, based on age brackets, based on gender. So to be able to understand at the segment level, at the high geography level, like a state, who is spending on debit and credit, and also spending by certain type of spend like restaurant, for example, or gas. So and that took a while to really change that mentality to build a relationship through through education, excuse me, to sharing the knowledge, to showcasing the data. And as a result, I was able to help the team to really launch what we call a semi-premium on the credit side in the United States, where
Mhm.
we can actually indicate if consumer spending more or less on a monthly basis, and it's an index. Also, another filter kind of which put in place to make sure that we really good stewards of the data privacy and security. And that's my kind of example. But again, personal relationship, building those relationships, understanding where your business partner is coming from, understanding the corporate challenges, learning the culture. Those are very important aspects for
Uh,
product management to lead indirectly.
Gosh, so, okay, so much to unpack there. So let me, so just to make sure I understand, you had economic data. You were basically tracking, as the company was tracking around spending, both debit and credit spending. I guess globally, right, or as well as globally. It was a
Yeah,
global.
global, but for demographies on the credit side are only available in the United States.
Okay, and so you had this idea, and I'm curious where you got the idea from, but was it something you came out with? But about pairing that economic data with consumer insights to so really understand more, not just about what the data is, but who's doing the spending. Was that something like a customer or client asked for, or how did you decide to kind of pair those two things together?
That's a very good question. Just one clarification when we talk about economic data, it's actually spending data, transactional
Spending.
data. So
Okay.
transactional data, but it's
Yeah.
only transactions in the category type of spend, right? Like, for example, gas or restaurant, but you don't know
Mhm.
any information as an intermediary about consumers. So you need to partner with a third-party provider to bring that third-party syndicated data piece, right, demographic piece to really create a segmentations. With that said, to your point, sometimes we just have a brilliant idea. We read something, we came across something. In my case, it's very ordinary, I would say, because I came from syndicated data provider industry, and pretty much if you ask me how did you come up with this idea, it was obvious to me based on my previous experience. I
Oh, okay.
managed global panel marketing operations, and I work as the director of shopper for one of two major syndicated grocery point of sales and CPG providers in the country and in the world. I'm not going to call the name. You probably can see it on my profile. And based on that experience, so yes, I was able to build a solution because it was obvious to me right off the bat that if we bring the demographics and bring the segmentation, it's going to be much more actionable tool for our clients. The second aspect of that, of course, is a product, but I'll let you product itself, but I'll let you ask some of those questions as we go. So.
Okay. And then, so you mentioned a challenge was security, privacy, right? How do you gather this insight, but yet keep the folks private?
Mhm.
So, uh, I'm curious about that, but were there other challenges you had as well, like as far as like building this product that, as you were.
Definitely in technology, resources, right? Because you need to build a dashboard. Are you using a Tableau, using the BI? Are you using something else like MicroStrategy platform, right? So those are aspects of the business. Where are you going to find the resources? Where are you going to find the investment? So are you bootstrapping it? Are you going and ask for a certain budget? Are you leveraging business partners' budgets? And those are challenges which I had to come across as well. Besides the mentality that we're very conservative, we don't work with data like that, so we don't use such an analysis. But by educating again, by showing what industry, other industries, retail industries are doing, so I was able to succeed and overcome those objections. But it's not about plowing through; it's educating. It's meeting one-on-one with key stakeholders, explaining, answering questions, understanding
Mhm.
their challenges, what they're going through. It's a very lengthy but very important process. And that's how you win people
Yeah.
over. And then you go into that bigger meeting, review committees, pricing committees. And then when everybody knows what you're doing and agreed on certain areas where we can have a win-win situation, and that's how you proceed.
Yeah, that is interesting. I think every product manager would probably agree that stakeholder management is a key part of their job, although not necessarily always trained in how to do that, right? Navigating internally, building a business case, winning over the hearts and minds of folks to keep moving forward. So, was there was there one thing or anything that you could share with people to say, this is how I did it, this is how I was able to navigate my organization and have success in getting this product to market?
One thing, be intentional. I would say be intentional and respect people's experience. I listen, but you said one thing, and I'm giving you already a set of things. But I would stick still with intentional, and it means not only have those intentions of being successful and support organization, but also it's an element of being genuine, right? Genius, not genius, genium. Excuse me, pardon my
Genuine?
uh, a genuine, yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Be natural, be authentic, right? So then people start believing. It's like a play. If I watch the movie or go to the theater, do I believe in that, what they're playing or not, right? So be authentic. That's the proper word. And to me, that was the kind of that's what helped me in my career, whether it's insights or product management roles, because you show your experience, you're not hoarding information, you're supporting your business partners by offering additional help in areas of your expertise. And that's probably what helps me to achieve those results I was able to achieve my career and bring those products to market.
So this the spending momentum
Index.
index that you brought together, did you get pushback from some of the stakeholders? And if so, what how did you overcome that? Like what did you do to move ahead? I mean, you mentioned privacy and security as, data privacy as being one of those. I don't know if that was the key one, but what did you do to overcome that? How did you move it forward in the organization?
Sure, it's a step-by-step process. For example, where data is going to be hosted. Oh, this is the type of Hadoop environment. What can we do that it's going to be absolutely private? Oh, it's going to be depersonalized environment. So we cannot use the certain elements of the data or see it at all, right? Or how we're going to segment that and report the geographies very high level, because we cannot report at a certain level of like a zip code level or something because it's too low, right? It's too granular. So
Mm.
how it's going to be connected with the third party data through a special process where you have a encrypted encoded information being transferred between third-party data provider and my company. So those are one by one steps. Or do we need to evaluate this data and make sure that it's not modeled or it's more deterministic? And so you go through the process, kind of almost a due process with your business partners, and identify those pain points and identify solutions how you can solve those pain points, I guess, right across that chasm. So,
So it's not one big aha. It's a bunch of
no,
little things that you're working through in the organization. Some of these can be, I can imagine, be quite complex, technical, uh, that you may not have expertise in. So do you bring in other folks to help answer some of these questions? Like how do you actually start getting answers to these questions?
absolutely. You figure out who are those experts or departments responsible, and you bring along experts in certain areas. It's like a surgery, right? So, do you need a
Mhm.
surgeon? Do you need an anesthesiologist? Do you need a surgical nurse? And you bring them into those crucial conversations when they need to be there to evaluate, to provide expertise, or even say, yes, we can do this solution because this is how we're going to do it. Or no, we can't do it this way, but we can do it that way. And you rely on your experts and business partners who support you in this process, because they either own the technology, they own piece of the data, or they own the process, and you follow their lead and you put your trust in your business partners, same as they putting their trust in you. Again, you need to always find a win-win situation,
Mhm.
and understanding challenges we go all going through as a team.
It's so interesting. I think of like a conductor of an orchestra, right? You're not the one playing the music, but you got to bring, as a product manager, all these folks together in different capacities and get them to be willing and to follow your lead and do kind of do what you need. So winning them over step by step. So tell us a little bit about what was the result of this? Like, has the product been launched? Has it been successful?
Yes, it was. I'm not going to talk about actual sales because I can't,
Sure.
but it was successful, and we actually launched it. Uh, what year and a half, 2 years ago, and
Okay.
now it's already being in distribution with big data providers as a leading indicator, industry indicator like Haver and some others. And in our case, we got some revenue. It's many clients found it very actionable. Our B2B clients, of course. So, and idea is that continue developing product and put it on more robust platform, almost to the point of kind of a DIY tool. Where clients can subscribe and get a monthly reports, because right now we're also doing that in a different form. Besides the dashboard, we're doing as a PDF file with some analysis, because that's a standard we use, clients wants to get. But I think we have opportunities to expand that, maybe looking at solutions to expand analysis not only for credit side but also debit side, in terms of the demographics and stuff like that. So there is a like a huge opportunity in my opinion. So it also takes, of course, companies' priorities, what companies focusing, investments and stuff like that. Again, those are trade-offs. You need to constantly reevaluate and reprioritize. So
Right. So yeah, trade-offs and how do you invest money in the future roadmap of this product versus I guess other products versus sure. And being a product manager, obviously that's probably one of the most challenging parts of it
yeah,
is trying to navigate those trade-offs. So I love to ask this question and in hindsight, right? With the benefit of hindsight, it's been a year and a half since you've launched it. What, if you were to do something similar again, or maybe not even similar, but launch another product, what would you do differently based on what you've learned? How would you approach it given your experience now?
that's a very good question, Zach. I think in my case, learned more about the landscape, because our industry, in terms of the research and especially third-party data industry, besides generative AI, right now it's a big talk, right? But even the third-party industry, uh, and again, besides the privacy laws and our overall approach with the third-party data, because governments in many parts of the world become more and more strict about data usage and privacy, which is rightfully so. But same time, you need to understand how to navigate that, and learning more about the landscape in terms of what is available, what is available but hardly obtainable, right? So those are key points you need to be aware before you kind of really jump and build a playbook or roadmap to execute, because sometimes you might think that it was there a year ago, but it's no longer available.
Mm,
This type of a data, this type of a technology, because it was acquired or because laws changed, because company decided not to provide this type of analysis or data platform technology, yeah, etc. So learning about our current landscape, because it's constantly shifting, constantly changing
mm.
in terms of the B2B special providers and stuff. I think I would do it first before even ideating anything else. Is it feasible? Almost like a feasibility study.
Oh, I see. So understand the landscape and the context before you jump in, because technology is always changing, policies are always changing, right? There's all kinds of that makes sense. That's an interesting. It's a very interesting story. I do want to see if anyone who's listening live right now does have a question for Michael. I know sometimes there is a slight delay, so if you do have one, please do enter it in. Uh, of course, if you don't have a question now and are listening to this in a recorded way, you can always ask your question in the chat, and it'll show up as any comment you make in LinkedIn, and we'll be able to answer those questions in the future. So this won't be your only chance. Waiting to see if anyone comes in. But I do think that's an interesting story and a very applicable lesson for anyone in product management, right? The ability to kind of navigate internally and stay on top of what's happening externally, right? As things are shifting, and it's not just one big thing, right? But it's a sequence of decisions and things that have to kind of fall in place to be successful. It is most of these skills, Michael. I'm just kind of curious. Is this stuff you've kind of learned on the job, or is this something that maybe you have training in the past? Like how have you gotten good at doing the internal navigation, especially in an organization, right, where as you mentioned, conservative, right, and difficult to get change. Has there been anything that you've learned or done?
And I wouldn't say difficult to make change. It's more conservative in certain areas of how we approach the data, and it's rightfully so, right? Because we're
Yeah.
very good stewards of the data, I'm sure, and that's what I'm proud about this company. But same time, to answer your question, earlier on in my career, you have like a core competencies skills to your point, and you have soft skills. And in my opinion, the core competencies, you can train people, and I been trained in Kaizen, continuous improvement, and product management through my early on business education and on the job education and certification of toll-gate system because I used to work for a very large Fortune 200 medical device, water quality device manufacturer, and that's how where I got my product management formal training.
Uh,
But same time, the soft skills you learn on a job, you learn through some training like crucial conversations, right? So learning through soft skills, observing other people, mentorship, which I've been mentored. I was like in my career, I was mentored by big global leaders. And those are very important aspects of our career development, right? As we go through stages in our career and learning new things, but you also need to be have that natural curiosity. You need to learn not only about the business and products, but also about people's interactions. And because nowadays
mm,
I am in pure, more of a not pure, but more of a thought leadership consumer insights. Uh,
mhm.
wearing this kind of a stretched kind of a assignment product management role for on my team. But same time, I am consistent and constantly curious about what else, what other skills I can gain, what else in terms of my interactions with my business partners, how can I improve that? So you need a constant, it's a constant work in progress, us as human beings. And I think those two pieces, core professional competency, if you want to be in product management, if you want to be in marketing, if you want to be marketing researcher, as well as soft skills. You need to constantly work those together.
Got it. Great. I think with that note, we can wrap things up. I really appreciate, Michael, your sharing your perspective, your thoughts, your learnings. So that's it for today's session of Product Insiders. And we hope all of you who are listening or will be listening in the future learn at least one new thing from the conversation. I know I did. And again, as I mentioned, feel free to continue the discussion by entering your comments or questions in the chat. And of course, please stay tuned for our next Product Insiders right here on LinkedIn. If you need help leveraging customer insights and navigate a tough product decision, please message me on LinkedIn and I'd be happy to chat and answer any questions you may have. So, again, until next time, I'm your host, Zach Lyons with Agile Innovation Advisors. And take care, everyone. And thank you, Michael.
Thank you so much, Zach. It was a pleasure speaking with you today. Bye bye.